Hey! Episode 2, House of the Dragon. Interesting, we got an intro this time around. They play the Game of Thrones theme for nostalgia bucks, which, might actually work or it might not. Depending on how you feel. You might hear that, you might get PTSD flashbacks about it not being good. I just skipped the intro this time, by the way, because I hate them, so we're just gonna jump right into it. It's late, again. I said I wasn't gonna record this so late again, but here I am, because fuck me, I got so many things to do. But at least I decided to do it instead of just quitting. No more quitting for me, but yep, it's fitting. This is like an intro while the intro is playing, and it's an interesting new intro with the blood and everything spilling into it. A lot of symbolism and stuff you can draw from. That's very interesting, and it is kind of nice to me to hear the old theme again. I do enjoy it, even if it is merely nostalgia. But yeah, episode 2, was it good, was it bad? I think I'm gonna start off this discussion with like a plot breakdown and what I think about it. First off, we get these fucking gruesome crab feeder men and the crab feeder people, the people who serve the crab. They literally just get people that sail past both shipping lanes, trades, boats of that nature, and they just take them and take the people from them and just put them on this island where they just get feasted on by crabs alive, which apparently is not the way it is in the books. Apparently they drown in the books by waves and stuff, which is a lot better way to go than in the show, which is an interesting change. And I'm not necessarily going to argue if it's good or bad. It's an interesting change that I think is pretty interesting. But we gather at the court, and there is discussion. Lieutenant Corvus is upset about his fleet, and he demands action. And Renea suggests that dragons should go and just go and just a display of power, just go and fuck them up, to which the king says, no, go fuck off, go find yourself a protector man. This is 6 months, by the way, after the original episode, which I don't know where it's stated. That I missed that. I got that from like external sources after fact. I did my research this time, so it's I'm a little bit more professional. But yeah, takes 6 months after the previous episode, and there's gonna be a lot of time skips in this show. It's very much has that very mini series feel to it. A lot of new shows like doing their mini series, long episodes, short seasons, nice contained stories. I mean, and I do like it as well. But in any case, the king dismisses. He says, "No, we're not going to war. I don't want to do that." Tells Renea to go fuck off, and she goes and she sees the jousting people, the people that joust. That were all the jousters, and instead of choosing a house or a banner, a person that would look good from a political perspective or from the outside in, it would look good to unite the houses and or take in the one guy to protect her that would. It would essentially form good alliances. It will look good on PR, but she was like, no. She wants the only person there that has combat experience, which, first contrivance right off the bat. He's the only person that has combat experience, and it is the person that beat Damien, the Chad. So I am glad to see him back, but you're telling me he's the only one with combat experience? You didn't even need that. You could just have her pick him because he was the one who won and was honorable and just being a straight just fucking Chad. But no. But from the corner, Lieutenant Corvus's wife Lady Valeria, I believe. Or Valeria is the house name. I'm not sure about that. Names I'm still gonna fuck up, okay? I did my research, but not enough. I know some names now better. And sees that she's not making decisions that will look the best optically, but she's more pragmatic, more on her feet, and just straightforward, instead of being more playing a character's staying face, which again ties back to the theme of the first episode, where you have to balance between the way you're actually feeling and your actual thoughts and how you actually feel about the situation, with portraying a persona of royalty, of elegantness, and doing things that appear well optically. That master of coin, the set Watchtower, I'm just gonna call him Mr. Watchtower, basically tells her that this isn't a good decision, this doesn't look good optically, but she opts for it as well. Also interesting detail, they give her a little stepping stool to step on, just to emphasize how young she is and just how fucked up this entire situation just is. Also, Chad is very handsome, by the way, which is to be expected from a Chad. But as we go on, so she picks him. No surprise there. I'm sure we all would have picked Chad. But we go later on to a classic Game of Thrones park scene, almost. Except it's super... There, I fixed my lighting, kind of. Sorry for the abrupt cut. My camera died. Wonderful, isn't it? I have to deal with shit like this. Also, I lost my little plastic sword. Oh wait, no, it's right here in my lap. I'm a genius. So yeah, where was I? All right, park scene. We get Lieutenant Corvus. He goes up to our king, our main daddy-o, and he's like, "Yo, we're one of the richest empires out there. With you, if our houses were to unite, we would be the strongest in the kingdom. Marry our 12-year-old daughter." And obviously the king, he's still mourning the loss of his wife, and he very clearly understands that he needs to remarry, but is very unwilling not to. And everybody's like, okay, you should do this, is the best decision. And he goes on a walk with her, and it's super awkward. He's super uncomfortable, and with some of the conversations displayed, just really highlight how messed up this thing is. For instance, the girl basically says that he is not allowed to bear children with her until she's 14, and stuff like that. It just really makes the situation, not Gucci for our boy. So he's very much not a fan of the arrangement. While he's mourning, the Watchtowers, Otto's, which is his name, which I just learned now off screen, he sends his daughter Allison. I believe it's Allison, or it's like Alician, or something like that. I fucking hate names, but he basically tells her to go up to the king, warm up, to fancy him, so that he may eventually build up feelings for her and eventually take her as his new wife and to bear new children, thus making Otto a lot stronger in his position. And it's an interesting comparison between him and Lieutenant Corvus. Corvus is a lot more upfront. He's like, yo, do this will be good for us. Where Otto is a little bit more sneaky, lying his way, being deceiving. Also, it's very good to mention that she is essentially, or very much close to the exact same age as his daughter. So, that makes things pretty awkward. And they are essentially best friends. She attempts to comfort her when talking about the loss of her mother, and that how she lost her own mother as well. And it's a really great scene. I'm going to be skipping over a lot of things because, like I said, it's just my raw thoughts. But good God, there's so many nuances in this show and so many things to pick up, so many subtle details. It's a really good show, I can say that much for sure. I'm just sort of talking about like the highlights, the things that I quite enjoyed. And like I said, acting top notch. But yeah, there's this whole episode basically evolves around one interesting conversation after the park scene, or right after. I might be mixing up the scenes, the orders of them, but Lieutenant Corvus. I keep calling it Lieutenant Corvus. Why does that remind me of that? Like that, I'm probably saying 100% the name wrong, and it's like I'm saying the name of that one YouTuber. You know, the one that tragedy. But in any case, his wife talks to Renea and it's like, you know what, they'll never respect you because you're a woman, and that's the way the things work. You know, Renea obviously not happy about that, but fully understands and realizes that what she says is essentially correct. And she's basically like, you know, we have to do what we have to do, you know, to basically make the kingdom of God. We have to follow customs and traditions despite the way that we feel on the inside, you know. Again, harping back to that theme. And the king and Rhea, they are very distant, and no way is that shown more, but when they sit on a dinner table and they're so far opposite of each other, it's hilarious. And you can literally hear crickets in the background, just to emphasize how distant and awful their relationship is. And both of them try. It's not like there's a lack of trying. Both of them try to make a relationship with each other, but it is not working. So much so that the father would much rather talk through Allison to talk to his daughter rather than just directly facing her. And obviously they build up ironically, he builds up more of a connection with her than his actual daughter. Which, you know, interesting. Also, the king, he appears, something is wrong with him. He keeps getting like pieces of him missing. His fingers all cut and stuff, and yeah, that's more than likely as a result of the Iron Throne. In the scene where he has his hands all maggotified, Otto basically tries to almost reverse psychology him, being like, you know, I would never marry such a daughter, especially after the loss of my wife. Yeah, I would just be too mourned. And it's like, it is not easy being the king. It's like, ooh, you trickster, you conniving trickster. See what you're doing, what you're laying down there. He very much, at this point, it is pretty obvious that he wants the king to marry Allison. But obviously, the king is very much still set upon the path that he needs to marry Lena because that's what the kingdom needs, and he needs to do what the kingdom must, and everybody has to do what the kingdom must without doing what they want to do. Essentially. That's essentially the crux of the issue. Now we go back to Damien, and he stole a dragon egg. He is proposing to his lady whore wife, and essentially saying she is pregnant and they need the egg. It's a part of the tradition to put the egg in the cradle, and he has taken over Dragonstone. Just completely, which is basically the place to the new heir to the kingdom. So he's basically doing a big power move, just being like, fuck y'all, okay, I'm the heir. And the king says he will go and confront them, and Otto basically says, no, yo, stop, you're gonna die. If you die, we lose everything. I'll go. And he goes himself, and we get a confrontation between the two characters, and Otto basically just spells out, it's like, you would do this much just to get your brother's attention. And, you know, there's a big standoff. His dragon comes in, and it's very tense. I'm describing this very anticlimactically in my way. I'm not describing it dramatically, but yeah, like I said, in layman's urban terms, that's essentially what happens. And it all looks like it's about to go down, like it's about to go bad. They're exchanging it back and forth, insulting one another, making fun of one another. Interestingly, his lady wife, I forgot her name, so I'm just going to call her his lady wife. He essentially says, I'm gonna marry you, marry her. He doesn't say it directly to her, he says it to Otto, that he's gonna marry her and have children, and she can't get pregnant, nor was there talk about her getting married. So, you know, she's upset, storms off, and tensions are brewing, and everything looks like it's about to fall down. Then all of a sudden, Rhea comes through the clouds, and it looks very nice. I'm pretty sure when I saw Dragonstone, I was like, good God, this place looks nice. And just like everything in the show. Everything, even the actors look really good. Even with the age of HD cameras and stuff, you can't even see their pores. They unporified them. It's insane. But, they get a standoff, and Rhea confronts Damien, and being just like, yo, I'm what stands between you and the throne. Kill me. You won't. No balls. And then it was like, yeah, I have no balls. Here, have this egg. That's bullshit. God, that was a good joke. And yeah, Damien's basically defeated, and he consoles himself with his lady wife, and she's not too thrilled. She's like, you know, I escaped where I came from to escape fear and to be free. And what you're doing, you are not, excuse me, it is very late, like I said. You are not doing me the freedom that you promised me. We are not doing the freedom, okay? We are doing the opposites of the freedom. You are putting us in a position of more peril. So we get that scene, and then we cut back. Not a lot happens in this episode, to be honest, but just like the previous episode. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, it's the scenes take a lot longer than they take to explain. Weirdly enough, like that. But yeah, we go back to the court, and the king has to make his decision. Who's going to be his new heir? And Renea, now fully understanding more because of the conversations that she had, is like, okay, duty comes first, duty to the realm. We must do what we must do in order to do what is best for the realm. The king also has like the short scene where he consults in one of his advisors, basically asking what to do, and he's basically just like, yo, marrying Lena is just the correct choice. It is just the choice that must be done. It's not nice or fun, but yo, you just gotta do it. And then we get the big court scene. The king has been deciding, he makes up his mind, and he basically drops a bombshell where it's like, he's marrying Allison. He, in his desperation, ultimately comes to the conclusion that he does not want to marry a child. He's going to marry the person that he has the closest, nicest relationship to, and he can still bear an heir to the throne, albeit not the greatest one. Naturally, people with the expectations and what they come to, at this point, the king has literally just been talking to his daughter the whole time, just being like, you should do what is right for the kingdom, not be selfish, essentially almost projecting what has been said onto him, but to her, and then hoping that she will understand and perhaps maybe even give him some solace, and maybe even give him some confidence in his decision and what he wants to make. He has there's a scene where they have a sit down, and she basically says, is like, you'll replace me at any second when you can, once you get a son, because thus is customary tradition. And then he's like, no, that I will not do that. I very much care for you. And he said, I very much care for your mother, and that is a truth beyond a shadow of a doubt. And but he says, one must do what one must for the kingdom. And that is the understanding where Nea now, almost for the first time in a long time, actually making a bond with her father to now understand and fully understand that yes, some things have to be done, even if they are shitty. And it comes to the big scene, and yeah, we get the bombshell. He's like, I'm marrying Allison. And Renea storms out, Lieutenant Corbus storms out, and everybody's not happy. Otto is, obviously. And we get like an end credit, like think of it like an Avengers, like a Marvel like after credit scene, you know, where like Nicholas Fury is like recruiting somebody. I mean, there's a black guy in either scenes, and they are recruiting somebody in either scenes. That's the most edgiest joke I've made thus far. Don't just ignore that. It's fine, okay? The world's not gonna end. But yeah, he's basically like, with the help of them, he basically says he had to build his kingdom from scratch, everything he earned, which is quite commendable considering that he is one of the strongest factions in this show. And he's like, you should go and prove your self-worth and join me to help fight the crab man. And that's where we end the episode. And let me just go back and rewind and just talk about some of the things that I like. Firstly, Eller. Well, I'm gonna start with like more of the surface levels type things, like acting stellar, costume set design stellar. We've already been over this. I think there's a lot of interesting character dynamics here, and doing the whole Game of Thrones thing. Obviously, everybody vying for the throne is quite. It's you know, it's a quite interesting dynamics, and everything. The king basically just being like, dudes, I just want some time to mourn, and we're doing all this shit. It comes with the pressure of just like, he can't be happy, so naturally he chooses Allison. And Rhea not only resents her father but also resents her as well, which, you know, tragic, but you know, to be honest, we didn't. No, that's not to say that this show is necessarily going to take the nicest paths. Okay, I'm sure this will end all perfectly fine. They'll all live happily ever after. Yeah, Lieutenant Corbus siding with Damien. It is basically an unofficial just being like, okay, fuck you, we're gonna do our own thing. And they take on the crab feeder. Some of the interesting things I think about the episode, everything to do with the king, Valerian Targaryen, that's his name. Valerius? Valerius. It's Valerius, I do believe. His fucking acting and his internal monologue, every scene is so purposefully built to emphasize that. And it's so satisfying to see him, to watch him and to see his head turn. I think a lot of this show, the theming, the framing, going back to bloodlines, this obsession with the House of the Dragon, it is very much, you know, with the intro with blood representing the bloodlines, it is very much sticking true to its name. And everything around the show evolves around that. And I very much... This show is very compelling. Just in the sense of just... You almost know that shit's gonna go down. Like, shit's gonna be bad. But you can't help but... It's like a train wreck. You can't help but watch. You know, despite where this is going... to not the best of places. But yeah, this episode I wouldn't necessarily say is the filler episode, but events that happen have quite well. If we look at what happens, is Damien and Lieutenant Corbus team up, and the relationship between them and the king has skewed even more, and the king is marrying Allison, which is not the best candidate for a wife, but will suffice, and he then skews himself from his daughter even further. And the king, being the king, he's very sympathetic. He's so far, he's probably my favorite character. I absolutely love the actor, and I absolutely love the character as well, because he's very sympathetic in the sense that you very much understand where he's coming from, why he's making the decisions that he's making, even if the world itself like disagrees with him. And there's very much a tragedy in that, and you can very much tell he does love his daughter despite what tradition says. He very much cares for her, and the fact that they cannot express it so openly because they are so skewed, and not for a lack of trying, but just because of a lack of understanding. And yeah, it's quite compelling, the show, I would say, obviously. But I don't have a lot to say about this episode as much as I did on the previous one, except for like plot recap stuff. For more of the more minor nuances, like I said, there's a lot of minor nuances in this show, and a lot of the character interactions that really are so tightly knit that it's very fun on a rewatch to just see all the little bit of details, every glimmer, every fraction, everybody working together, who's working with who, without necessarily stating it. Just obviously, there's no internal monologue like you get in the books, or there's no out of world like narration. You just have to get it from like characters' facial expressions and ideas. Like the one head priest guy on the court, he's also working with Otto, and they're working together. And then that's completely sold through facial cues. And one might argue that it wasn't particularly done pretty subtly with the facial cues, and that they were too over the top. But I would argue that when we're dealing with the limitations of this format without going to strictly like narration from characters like speaking inside their minds, I think that was a very, very good compromise. And I don't even think it's that bad as some have said. But overall, that is my take on House of Dragon episode 2. Another good episode. We got a lot of interesting dynamics and conflicts and character decisions and choices and characters. Good God, I've talked about all these things in framing, but characters, good God, the characters are great in the show. Everybody necessarily, their values, their moral values. I feel like some of my favorite characters right now is like one of them is like Damien's, and everything he's doing, he's essentially just a character that have this insane amount of power, just vying for attention from his brother. It's very compelling, while also wanting the throne, of course, but not willing to hurt Renea because of the relationship that they shared, which was brief in episode 1, but long enough to the point where you can understand and believe that to be true, that it is truly a relationship. They truly care. He cares about her to an extent. So yeah, character work is fucking phenomenal. It is through the roof. All the subtle nuances and the character interactions, which I hope I did highlight. I feel like I did highlight it, but yeah, this one is it's definitely does not have as much happening as some of the other episodes. Not necessarily that that's a negative, but it is nonetheless a pretty goddamn good episode, and a good episode of television, and that's about all I have to say. I can't believe it. I'm finally done. I can go sleep. I can go to my slumber. So thank you for watching. Do the YouTube things, and I recommend go watch House of Dragon if you haven't. By the way, just Why not? Why have you been here listening to me? Why are you listening to me talk about it? There are many other content creators that do so much better work than me, than this. I don't know what this is. This is me failing at something that I thought I would be a lot better at this than I thought I was, but apparently I need to fucking stick to scripts or something. But I don't know. This isn't supposed to be all nice, nice, lovey-dovey. That's not the correct term or usage, and it's not appropriate in this sense. But it is very much raw thoughts. So I hope you enjoy these incoherent ramblings. Thank you for watching. Bye.